Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well. The Russians come and announced that almost 500,000 Ukrainians perished in a war in Ukraine. There are some baboons out there who are celebrating the loss of life of what they claim enemies, without thinking that actually they are fighting among themselves. And the point is, they fight among themselves for other people's interests, under the umbrella or the misleading phrase for your survival. It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way whatsoever. I think this war was channeled by those interests who are telling us that if you don't go and fight the Russians pretty soon, the Russians will come at your doorstep, knock, you don't open, kick the door in and get you, and everything you hold dear. This is where they are right now. Why? Because their goal is take over Russia as soon as possible. And it's been already 2 years and Russia doesn't show signs of weakening. Militarily, economically, politically, nothing. So let me show you this little article where Shoigu, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, he tells us that 500,000 Ukrainians were killed in this war. I read another article earlier today where the Ukrainians claim that almost 500,000 Russians died. So let's say 1 million people died, I think, for other people's economic interests. And those economic interests are not Russia's economic interests or Ukraine's economic interests. So 1 million Slavs died for non-Slavs' goals. Because those guys over there are not Slavs. We know what they are, but we know they're not Slavs. That's all I can tell you for now. When we are going to have free speech, as it was intended, when we're going to push back and regain our creators given rights and not only temporary privileges that the government can or give us or can take from us, then we can say who's who, what's what, and we can say, okay, this is this guy because of that. Right now, even if I come and tell you something that is true, the freedom of speech is not at that point where I'm allowed to. They're not going to arrest me or anything, but they try to hurt me. And the first thing is going to be lack of communication here. But it's okay. We have a backup plans, plural. So here is Sputnik. Ukraine has lost almost 500,000 soldiers since beginning of special military operation, Shoigu. Now that's a tragedy. No celebration here. There's a tragedy. That's how it should be viewed. Tragedy by us. By us. By them, unimportant. That's how they look at it, unimportant. You're not done yet. The Russian armed forces have the initiative along the entire contact line and are pushing the enemy away from the occupied borders. The enemy is not the Ukrainian. Don't get fooled with that one. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said at a meeting of the Defense Ministry board. Now, Ukraine is the enemy as a pistol is the enemy held by a criminal. So who's the enemy? The pistol or the revolver, the firearm, or the criminal, the guy with bad intentions? The guy with bad intentions. Obviously. That's why you go to the source. You don't, you try to just mop the water flowing in your house from a broken pipe. You just don't use the mop or you don't use the squeegee or the towels and you just take the water and the water to keep coming. No, the first thing you go downstairs, you go in the basement or you go somewhere and you turn off the water supply, first thing. And then you repair the pipe and then you turn it on again. You go to the source where it's coming if you can. Or if you don't want it to come in your water in here and you can't turn it off, you go outside and break the pipe before it gets into your house. And the water is going to go outside in the field. And then you repair it over there. You turn it off later. But he destroys your property right there. So the source, my friends, the source here is not the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are the tip of the iceberg used by those non-Slavs. Now, Ukraine has lost almost 500,000 soldiers since the beginning of the special military operation in 2022. I'm quoting, in total, the losses of the Ukrainian armed forces amounted to almost 500,000 military personnel since the beginning of the special military operation. End quote, Shoigu told the defense ministry meeting. According to him, the Kiev regime failed to achieve its goals in the counteroffensive prepared by NATO instructors. Not the instructors. It's not them. That's NATO generals who are involved in this. It's not the instructors. The instructors, again, the instructor is the finger of the guy. So Ukraine is the pistol. The instructors, not even the instructor has the little nerve that comes and sends the message to the finger to pull. That's what it is. And then you move on and on and on. More and on. This is what it is. And who organized this? Do you think it's the Ukrainians who sit at a table and they planned the operation? I have 1% belief or trust that this is the reality. I don't think so. These plans are made by others far away from Ukraine. Ukraine is just informed, and they're asked some, can you do this right here? And the Ukrainians come, well, we have this amount of troops right here. So it's like a lieutenant. The lieutenant tells you what the situation on the front is, even though you know it better than them. You know it better, but it comes and tells you. It tells you the situation, how people are mentally prepared or not, what supplies they need, what the situation over there is, and then they come and tell you, and then you plan. It's like you gather your information, but ultimately it's your brain that makes a decision. You get information from all the stimuli and so on. So, but this is the way they make it look like. Oh, is the other one. And the Russians said this over and over again, and again, I think that's a mistake to label them NATO instructors. There are little participants in this one. And I'm quoting, our servicemen have dispelled the myth about the superiority of Western weapons, the ministry noted. I mean, I think weapons as technology evolves and it's a competition. If you have a competition, remember, evolution comes out of need. You need something to take care of. You're going to invent something, and you're going to invent something more efficient. You want more money, then you look around and see what's the need. And then you try to supply the need better than everybody else, and you compete with other ones. So, it's always going to be a competition unless you have monopoly, and then you have people satisfied with their lives, and then everything dies, like the communists. That's their goal. We're going to have one thing, and that's it. That's what you need. Some people will tell you what you need. They're not going to allow you to say, well, I need more than that. Like right now, you cannot have you pretty soon will be banned from driving whatever car you want. It's been going on for some time already with all kind of emissions. Now we're going to tell you, you cannot have a fossil fuel car. You're going to have only a battery one. Some people decided for you, and you're free. Okay? And in the meantime, whatever. Let's go back to our ship here. The Russian military will more intensively target Ukrainian logistics centers and storage facilities storing Western weapons, the ministry said. And the Western weapons, yes, they're superior here. These guys catch up, they go better, and so on. That's how it is. You can say, well, don't give me the stealth and the invisible. This is fairy tales. This is for baboons. Like a child. You tell a child, and then he put the clock on and he became invisible. And everybody's like, oh, yeah. That's for them. But that's the level. We have invisible airplanes. The radar cannot detect them. Yeah, they're stealth fighters. Like, psst. Okay, this is for children. Unfortunately, is fed to the adult population, some of them with college degrees, educated. Remember, you're not how is that going? You can be an imbecile with a PhD, so don't worry. You have company. The Russian military will more intensively target. We will increase the intensity. Okay, good for you. Where will US aid to Ukraine go? As far as is needed to destroy you. Using the Ukrainians, and when Ukrainians will be scarce as population, as a tribe, as a nation, they will activate other imbeciles, other baboons. Why? Because they took care of, have the right people in the right positions in those countries, like Romania, like in Baltic states. like maybe you name it in Europe. You don't have it in Hungary. You might not have it in Slovakia, but everywhere else where I look in Europe, the same thing. You got everybody caught by the ball. Why? Because they have values. And our values all coincide. We all have the same needs and the same level, intensity of needs. Okay? I want a Bugatti and you want, I don't know, a Ford Escort. No. We all have to have the same need, which is a Ford Escort. Or I don't know, a Toyota Camry. You can't have a Bugatti, Emil. What if I want one? I can't have one. No. It shows that you are, come on, everybody is going to feel, insulted, going to feel bad that you have it and they don't have. Well, work harder, motherfucker. That's how you, but no. Only we can have over there. You cannot. I lived that in communist Romania. And there were some special people over there. They could have anything they wanted. They could travel abroad in the Western countries. They could do this. They can have foreign currency. That was illegal in Romania. It was a felony. You go to prison if they would caught you with $1. $1, US dollar, or with a Deutsche Mark, German Mark, or a French franc, or Swiss franc, or a Corona, or whatever from Austria. Any foreign currency you would have at home, it was illegal. A Western currency, you would be going out. You're going out to the big house. That's what happened. But they had it. Legally. They could travel wherever they wanted. We couldn't. So the same here, as an example, look at the COVID garbage with the masks. Were mandates in California, but I dare you, triple dare you to go and watch that Super Bowl. One of them, during the masks mandates in California. You're going to see the VIPs, the important people, next to one another with no masks, and you see the plebeians, you and I, with masks like baboons with masks. Is anybody going to prison for that? Is anybody going for all this garbage with anybody? No. Why is not? Because that was a test. It was a test. Another one is going to come. And there's going to be another test. They're going to push it until they can control everything you fucking do. Already they do. Why? Cash is going to go away. What does it mean? They know every fucking thing you do with your finances. Should it? No. There's nobody's business how you spend your money and what you do with your money. They know everything. And they want you to file the taxes at the end of the year. Something that then they audit and they get all the information anyway. So why do you bother? Why don't they do it for you? Why do you even have it? Since they already know it, they have the capability. I tell you. Remember that's one of, supposedly, one of the amendments that something like you're not supposed to, protect you from self-incriminating yourself. I think it's the Fifth Amendment with keeping quiet. Keeping quiet is not the term, Jesus Christ. Is that what it is? That gives you the right not to self-incriminate. So say, let's say here, you self-incriminate yourself when you file your taxes. Because they're going to figure it out and they're going to say, hey, this is it. Why do I have to file my taxes? Why don't you do it for me? You know everything. Self-incrimination. All right, my friends, here it is. Unfortunately, some people, it's 1 million people related, relatives. The Ukrainians and the Russians, I would call them more than cousins, somewhere in between brothers and cousins. Maybe brothers, I don't know. I'm not, from my information, I can say it as the same. It's just a little bit of a nuance. But if I say that, I will have a lot of people who want to strangle me anyway, or hang me, which, I don't care. It's just history, my friends, history. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Unfortunately, this war should not have started if we are to talk about what's right and what's wrong. But it started, and unfortunately, these guys fight delusional war of self-preservation, self-defense, and survival. No, Ukraine, you don't fight a war of survival. Maybe you are now because you grabbed the tiger by the balls, and what are you going to do? That's the problem. But you were maneuvered into this, and with them, the Russians came. Are the Russians the victims? More than others, and less than others. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.